But all those things with our experts in a bit. Our experts are ready with us. Ambarish Baliga, Sudarshan Sukhani, Mayuresh Joshi and Nuresh Mirani are all waiting by. Sudarshan, first up to you. Good afternoon. How would you position in this last hour of trade?
Well, the first point is that the Nifty trade, if taken, would have been stopped out. And earlier at 11 a.m. I said let's get out because the Nifty is not doing what it should. So in any case, the trade does not exist. How do we take the Nifty? We don't. We just step aside, and if this stability continues for another day, then it becomes an opportunity. We have been more upbeat on banks, and especially PSU banks and Axis Bank, and that's a trade that should have been taken and should continue. What do we do beyond the Nifty and the Bank Nifty if we are not taking trades in either of them today? Then we go long, because this market is giving us the first signs that a sustainable rally may be starting. It's a big may, but then that's how we trade.
Okay, but Axis has played dog as of now. You still think that holds therefore the maximum potential to rise?
I think Axis is the easiest trade between ICICI Bank and Axis. Axis is the better trade, which is why I named it. And then the PSU banks, a host of them are opportunities. We've talked about it since the morning. The opportunities are still there. They haven't gone.
Okay, Sudarshan, hi, good afternoon. You have 3 buy ideas for last hour of trade as well.
Oh yes, this 100-point rally intraday, and that also from the lows of an ongoing correction. That's a good reason to go long. And the first of them is Asian Paints. Same story, big correction. That correction is seeing a bounce off, and I think buying it. The second is TVS Motors. There is no correction there. That correction was much earlier. TVS Motors has been an outperformer, and that outperformance should continue. The same is the story with Syndicate Bank. It's been an outperformer, hardly corrected, and while a lot of PSU banks are now attractive, including IDBI Bank, Syndicate is clearly the front runner. So we go with the front runner today, go long in all 3 stocks.
Okay, is there any trade in the pharma stocks, in particular Dr. Reddy's?
No, well, we've seen a handsome rally in Dr. Reddy, but it's become very difficult. First it fell dramatically, then it's rallied today. I think a lot of stability is required before we go long in Dr. Reddy's, Cipla, Sun Pharma.
Alright, Sudarshan, stay on with us. We will keep coming back to you. Here's a quick recap of Sudarshan's last hour strategies. He has 3 buy calls. First call is a buy on Asian Paints with a stop of 795, target of 825. His second call is a buy call on TVS Motors, stop loss 290, target 305. And his last call is a buy on Syndicate Bank with a stop loss of 90 and a target of 97. Let's now go across to Ekta Batra for 6 and 60.
Well, I'll start with the Bank Nifty, which is outperforming in today's trading session. So the Bank Nifty should come up for you. Dr. Reddy's, which is leading from the front as well. Remember, the stock is down 18% on a month-to-date basis, but has bounced back a little in today's trading session. Coal India, where the news is that 8 merchant bankers have submitted bids to manage that $3.2 billion stake sale. So Coal India down around 1.5%, also reacting to its Q2 numbers. IT stocks seem to be also sluggish today. So TechM, HCL Tech, Infi, TCS, all of those stocks are currently trading in the red. Apollo Tyres in focus after the board approved the acquisition of Rheinfencom. So that stock is in focus on account of that. And the new issue on the block SH Kelkar, which is reacting well. Issue price 180 rupees. Good premium to that stock.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Ekta. The mid-cap space actually has been a relative underperformer today, but there are some bright sparks. Rima is getting all the mid-cap movers and shakers. All in a minute.
Thanks, Lada. The bright spot is the sugar space yet again. So look at the up moves in names like Sri Renuka, Shakti Sugars, Dhampur Sugar. All of them are up and about. Good earnings seen from GMR Infrastructure, MMTC and TV Today, and all 3 of them are trading higher. Gains are led by GMR Infra, which is now up 10%. Weak earnings from BGR Energy, Optus Circuits as well as Shobha Developers. Shobha has managed to trim its losses, so it's only down nearly 0.5%, but Optus Circuits continues to reel under pressure. Cadila Healthcare has missed the launch date of a drug which is used for ulcerative colitis, so that's trading weak. Interglobe Aviation or Indigo has seen some profit taking despite opening up its strength in early trade. Inox Wind has commissioned an 800 megawatt blade facility in Madhya Pradesh, and Talwarkar has done a small acquisition, so they will be acquiring InShape Health and Fitness, a 51% stake for the promoters in an all-cash deal. Back to you.
All right, Rima, thanks a lot for that. Mayuresh Joshi also joins in, and we've been talking to Sudarshan Sukhani. Mayuresh, good afternoon. The The stock that surged today is Dr. Reddy's after the kind of big collapse that we had seen. Is it now offering good risk reward, or would you stay clear of that stock for now?
Afternoon, Manoj. I think after the sharp correction that we witnessed in Dr. Reddy's, I think it did give an opportunity for long-term investors to start chipping in. And again, I think if you look at the key attributes that will drive earnings for Dr. Reddy's, is its strong A&E pipeline. Almost 47 odd applications under Para 4, you've got 67 applications under FDFs, and they are high margin complex generic drugs. So clearly, I think Dr. Reddy's is a clear beneficiary once these approval processes start. Secondly, I think when you're talking about the higher R&D spends of around 11.7, 11.9%.
Mayuresh, we seem to have a problem. We aren't able to hear you very well. We have to fix that audio. We'll be back with you in just a minute. Sudarshan, just wanted to ask you if there are any other buys in the Nifty space itself. You spoke about Axis. Any other, I mean, the metal stocks also are all surging at this point in time. Is there a last hour trade, a 24-hour trade in the likes of Tata Steel?
No, more than metals, it's the two drivers of the Nifty where there is an opportunity still for trading. IDC is making a bullish pattern, and the gains that we are seeing today could easily continue. So it is ITC, and the second is Reliance, which hasn't had a correction, which has been an outperformer and is now again contributing to the rally. So assuming that the Nifty is stable or actually starts moving towards 7,900, both of these stocks have more potential to go up.
Okay, Sudarshan, a word on Infosys that's now back to the lows that it hit after the numbers, the next day after numbers.
Well, ID is doing giving us a very big disappointment. All the 5 IT stocks are showing signs of weakness. So Infosys is not a buying opportunity, while the others, for example, TCS, HCL Tech Mahindra, they are all shorting opportunities. This is very surprising. I don't remember when last time we had IT as a short idea.
Okay. I guess the strength of the rupee is also one enemy for IT stocks at this point in time. So this I also want to ask about Cadila. I don't know if you have recently looked at that chart pattern. It has some negative news coming in today, but up until like 2-3 weeks back, it was a stock that only saw higher highs. How do you trade it now?
Well, I think we wait for Cadila to stabilize and buy it. I would not go and short it. It's in the F&O section. And you are right, it was making higher highs. It was another one of those remarkable pharma stories. On the charts, that story remains intact. See, all stocks will go through choppy periods, which is what this is probably doing. So I would be a buyer here, not necessarily today, but yes, I would buy.
Okay. Well, I think Mayuresh is back with us. Mayuresh, I wanted to ask you actually about GMR Infra. Is that is the result impressive enough for you to recommend a buy?
Afternoon, Lata. So clearly, I think the numbers were clearly far better than what the street was probably expecting from GMR Infra. And again, I think the airports vertical has been contributing immensely. I think it's the energy vertical has probably let GMR down over the past few quarters. But again, I think with the kind of subsidy improvements that we're seeing in terms of how imported gas is coming through, the plant load factors have improved drastically for GMR Infra. So whether you consider any of its plants, whether that's Emco or Kalinga, I think both these plants have been doing exceptionally well for GMR Infra. Again, I think the road segment, which contributes 7-8%, I think even though we've seen downgrades happening and there's a huge amount of debt of close to 47,500 odd crores on consolidated balance sheet, I think that itself does not give me confidence enough for the cash flows to be reported on a consistent basis. Yes, I think the airport vertical, as I mentioned earlier, has been doing well. The traffic growth has been good. The energy vertical is showing some signs of improvement, but clearly I think consolidated cash flows to improve meaningfully will still take some time. So I'm not ruling out another 10-15% or 20% move on GMR Infra, but structurally and fundamentally, I think it will still take time for the company to start improving its balance sheet.
All right, Mayuresh, Sudarshan, stay on with us. We'll take a break on that note, but once we come back, we have Chirag Nigantini, MD and Co-Head of Research at Axis Capital, who will join us from the sidelines of the Axis Capital conference.
Welcome back. Well, the markets put up a spirited comeback, 0.9% higher on the Sensex and the Nifty, and Nifty comfortably above that 7,800 mark, close to the 7,850 mark. Let's invite more experts to speak to us about the quality of the stock market recovery. Chirag Negandhi, Managing Director and Co-Head of Research at Axis Capital, joins us now from the Axis Capital Conference. Chirag, good afternoon. Thank you very much for finding time for us between your conferences. What is the sense you're getting from the various domestic and foreign participants? Are you getting a sense that that 7450 level has been just averted for the moment? We will revisit it soon. With your thoughts today, and have a successful conference out there. Okay, we've been getting you a string of guests from that Axis Capital Conference. Speak more about that.
Yeah, indeed. India is a relatively better story on improving macros. That's the word from CLS's Chris Wood. Their conference is also on at this point in time, their annual India Summit. Their India strategist Mahesh Nandurkar is also believes that India stands out in the emerging market story.
I'm overweight India, so I think it makes sense to be overweight India, but that's a relative story. Also, the Indian benchmark weighting is extremely low. So actually, personally, I'd be structurally overweight India even if I wasn't bullish on India, because I think the weighting in the benchmark is too low relative to the size of the economy. So I'm still 3 times overweight India relative to the benchmark. I'm perfectly comfortable with that. But in terms of the stocks I've got in my recommend portfolio, I prefer stocks geared to the urban consumer and falling rates, because I'm expecting more rate cuts in India, and in my view the urban consumer is in a better situation than the rural consumer.
We believe that India's story clearly stands out within the overall emerging market space. The macro is clearly showing significant signs of improvement. We've seen several structural positives which are visible. These include low inflation, the twin deficit has been under control, the government decision making has also improved, which also sort of improves the quality of policy making. The other interesting trends that we're seeing on the longer run side are the households are finally shifting money into financial assets and also equities, which I believe is a longer term theme that will unfold over the next several years.
Okay, that's a bunch of views that we are getting. Let me now present to you the money control question of the day. Will you book profits in Indigo after the stellar run that you've seen so far? Log on to moneycontrol.com, post your responses there. We will read out some of the more interesting responses post 3:30.
Alright, time for a break. When we come back, it will be time for our Monday special Midcap Mania with Nigel D'Souza. Welcome back. Well, some stocks that stand out now. Reliance Infra, I should pull out the intraday chart of Reliance Infra. That stock is now surging as we speak. GMR Infra, of course, has been the stock of the day since morning, but Reliance Infra is the stock where we have seen a bit of a surge at this point in time. So let's bring that stock out. As you can see, now trading at high point of the day. In fact, there's some news on that. It's signed a term sheet with PSP Investments Canada. What's that for? Let's try and pull out some more details on whether this has got something to do with any kind of asset sales. Okay, let's do that.
Non-binding term sheet. Okay, it's not saying what. Okay, there is a press release which is REL Infra signs non-binding term sheet with PSP Investments for investment in its power distribution business in Mumbai. Generation, transmission and distribution assets of Mumbai to be carved into a separate SPV, and that will be called Reliance Energy. REL Infra will hold 51% stake and PSP will hold 49%. So there is a stake sale in the Mumbai units of Reliance Infra.
Yes.
So that will be money coming in.
Yes.
That certainly is positive. So you can see REL Infra flying away. It's definitely money coming in. I don't know whether they've given us the money. Yes. REL Infra's PSP is a pension fund manager in Canada with assets of 112 billion Canadian dollars in terms of net assets. I don't think they've given us an idea as to how much it is. Reliance Infra's Mumbai power business distributes power to 3 million residential, industrial, commercial users in Mumbai, covering an area of 400 square kilometers. Though it doesn't say how much money is coming in, all it says is that all the Mumbai businesses of REL Infra will be carved into a company called Reliance Energy, and a 49% stake in that will be sold to this pension fund manager from Canada. Called PSP. It's called Public Sector Pension Investment Board. That's PSP Investments.
Indeed. Lata, of course, for those of us who have been tracking the stock market for more than last 12 or 13 years, the current Reliance Infra's erstwhile name was Reliance Energy.
Oh yeah, of course.
It was earlier listed as Reliance Energy and changed its name to Reliance
still remember
Infra.
it as BSCS, but then I'm obviously a bit of a dinosaur
BSCS name changed to Reliance Energy and then to Reliance Infra. In fact, our symbol code is still BSC for Reliance Infra, but that's the news on Reliance Infra. The stock is up about 6%, but that's among the larger stocks. Let's talk about some of the mid-cap stocks. It's time for our Monday special mid-cap mania with Nigel D'Souza, and the stock on his radar is a stock that has risen 70% in the last 2 months. Nigel?
That's right, Anuj. And in fact, the stock is high by close to around 5% as we speak at Upper Circuit. We're talking about Zenith Fibers. Stock has been doing well. It primarily manufactures polypropylene staple fiber. Now, take you through a few details. In the last 1 year, the stock has been on a bit of a tear. It's high by close to around 70% in the last couple of months. And if you take a look at it in the last 1 year, it's higher by a good 190%. The shareholding pattern, nothing great. Promoters hold 50% stake. No big institutional holding as well. So either it's unidentified or maybe in fact the market still hasn't come in and bought this particular stock. No big standout in terms of the shareholding pattern. If you take a look at the financials, the first half of this year has been fairly good. So on the top line, there hasn't been big growth, but take a look at the operating profit. That's ballooned higher. Margins as well have expanded in a big way, and profitability as well has surged up. If you just take a look at it, the first half of this year. Let's take a look at the first half of this year compared with the entire of last year. They've done quite well. So though on the top line, it isn't that great, because in the top line itself, they've done only around 50% of what they did last year. The profitability that really stands out. And in terms of, if you just take a look at it, for the half year mark, they have done close to around 4 crores, and last the entire year, they did close to around 6 crores. What are the positives? The market cap, it's a very small cap company, only around 60 crores approximately. They have cash in excess of around 25 crores. That's one of the positives. They are a debt-free company. They have been paying dividend as well in the last couple of years. So that as well is a positive, and they're a key beneficiary of falling crude prices. What are the negatives then? If you take a look at it, the capacity utilization, I was going through their website, they are functioning at only around 50-55% of their total capacity utilization. They're relatively more expensive. That's the polypropylene is relatively more expensive if you compare it with polyester and the likes. And finally, the risk of rising crude prices could throw this entire thing of rising margins out of the window. Interesting stock, moving quite well. Back to you.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Nigel. Varinder has now joined us on the news that's flashing on your screen. Reliance Infra about to spin off all its Mumbai assets into a separate company called Reliance Energy, and in which it will sell a 49% stake to a Canadian pension fund. Varinder, how much money might this bring?
Well, the sale of this Mumbai distribution business in FY15 was 7,700 crores. And we don't know at what metrics in terms of valuation what this deal is done. I was talking to some of the analysts. They believe it could be around 1 to 1.2 times at least. In terms of the deal. So they could fetch that kind of money. If we have to go on that assumption, 8 or 9,000 crore. So 49% of that could be around 3,500-4,000 crore money, which could come to Reliance. Importantly, just to understand this news, if you just see Reliance Energy as an entire company, right now, the important verticals they have is road, cement, and power distribution. Okay, road, we all already know that they have invested around 8,800 crores on the road assets. Last time Mr. Chalchani told us the same thing, that they are expecting as much as amount, at least, or more than that, when they divest the entire road assets. Cement, they're also planning to divest the entire what they have, around 5.6 million ton per annum capacity. Nigel was telling me that even if we take at 100 EV per ton, the cement business could be around 4 to 4,500 crore. So even if Mumbai distribution, fetches them, or that 49% stake alone fetches them around 3,500-4,000 crore, which is a good thing. So club everything together, the road, cement, and distribution, that could be around 15,000 crore. Now understand the market cap of this company is around 11,000 crore. They have a debt of nearly 17,000 crore. So these stake sales of road, cement, distribution will take care of that entire debt. One thing is very clear, Lata and Anuj, right now Reliance Infra wants to focus on entire defense.
Yeah, exactly. So won't that money go to Pipavav? That was what I was going to ask you.
The money will go to reduce debt.
Their own debt.
Their own debt. Okay. So now they want to venture everything into the defense arm. So they will have, they will, as they mentioned earlier, that they will divest entire road assets, cement assets. That could be around 12 to 13,000 crore put together, and they will have a 51% stake in Reliance Energy. With this 49% divestment to someone else. So the only business which will be left over will be the defense business for them, and their ownership into the Reliance Energy business, which will be there. So all put together, if they manage to raise what they are mentioning, so it will take care of the entire debt for at least Reliance Infra on a long-term basis, which is a good news.
All right, Virender, point taken. By the way, the market has slipped a bit from the high point. In fact, it slipped quite a bit from the high point. Let's pull out the intraday chart of the Nifty, and if you see, it's now at 7805. It had gone to almost 7835, 7840 thereabouts. And the stock that's leading the market lower is again Infosys and TCS. Infosys more so because it has more weight on the index. If you see the intraday chart, Infosys is back to the low point of the day, and if you pull out the intraday chart of TCS as well, that's also almost approaching the low point of the day. So
but
these two
even other stocks like Reliance and Tata Motors are not helping. Of course, Infosys has sold off more in the last half hour, but there's Reliance chart coming up for you. All of them are withdrawing support to the Nifty, as it were. Tata Motors is withdrawing support. So it's a bit across the board in terms of sectors. It's a wide variety of stocks that are moving away. BHEL also is now withdrawing support to the Nifty. It's even more pronounced in the mid-cap space. In the mid-cap space, some of the seminal falls in the last half hour are Power Finance Corporation down 1.3% in the last half hour or so. Overall down 1.6%, but the better part of it has come in the last half hour as well. Marico is giving away. Reliance Communications has lost a bit. REC along with PFC
Sugar
is
stocks
selling
have seen
off.
some profit booking. Lata, that was the point. So it's now lost about 40 points from the high point, the Nifty that is. So essentially at every high level there would be selling propensity, and that's really the big risk for this market. But Nuresh Mirani is also with us now to tell you what to buy or sell today for a reverse trade tomorrow. Nuresh, good afternoon. Your stock ideas?
The first one is Phenolics Cables with a target price of 275, a stop loss at 255. Second is Reliance Infra with a target price of 430 and a stop loss at 405.
All right, Nuresh, thanks a lot for those trading ideas. Well, Virender is still with us, so he'll also take us through some of the buzzing stocks.
Well, a lot of stocks which actually buzzing, they might have come off in the last 5 or 10 minutes, but sugar and rice stocks, the theme of the day, and some of the GST related sectors which are logistics and tobacco. Sugar, put your finger on any stock, Triveni, Out Sugar, Simphavli Sugar, Shakti Sugar, all of them are buzzing. Among the rice stocks, Kohinoor, KRBA, LT Foods are moving up. Logistic stocks is Gati, TCI, all of them are buzzing. Tobacco stocks, Godrej Phillips, that stock was up nearly 17-18% today. Golden Tobacco also up 15%. Future Market Networks is one stock in that future group which is moving. In the mid-cap gainers, HS Kelkar, which is the new listing. Apart from that, look at ITDC, which was Indian Tourism and Development Corporation, which was up by nearly 15%. Wakrangi up by nearly 17% today. SD Aluminium and Federal Bank, a few other stocks which are moving in the market today. A lot of new names actually which have come in the small cap arena today. Eknit Knitting is one stock which is moving up and on huge volumes. Veda Wag Systems is another one. Chambal Breweries is another one which is moving, and these are Chambal Breweries is on 2 lakh volume, which is not small in that small cap category. D&H India, Albert David, Adweek Labs, Bengal TN Fabrics, SSPDL, GRM Overseas, Compuge Info, Vernici Tech. All these are new names which I've picked up in the, among all these stocks, and good volumes in the small cap category. Other stocks like MP Distilleries, Sakuma Exports, Sanjeevani Parental, Alkali Metal, Hydro S&S Industries, one of the recommended stocks by our market wala, Mr. Tulsian. That stock is up. Rossel Indian Subex also buzzing.
Yeah, MP was also recommended by Mr. Tulsian. So a couple of his stocks, his recommendations, wealth-generating ideas actually are doing very well. Another stock which would have generated money for a trader would have been the sell call, the short call on Kaveri Seeds, which came from Sudarshan. Sudarshan, would you continue to remain with that or cover the short?
I think the targets have been hit, but my point was that this is a positional short. Now, the very large decline suggests that at least you should cover it and then reposition yourself on the short side sometime later.
Okay, Sudarshan, you did say that for now it's now no trade zone on the Nifty. Over the last 30 minutes, there's been quite a bit of volatility. It went up almost to 7850 and is now back at 7800. What's that telling you about the texture of the market?
That's telling me it's a no trade zone for the Nifty. I'm not joking, really, because that was, this large rally told us that this is short covering. We don't know what it is. It's not going down, but it wasn't enough to say it's going up. Although it is possible that slowly and steadily we may form a low here, somewhere around 7750, 7800. But today is not a day when we can say the Nifty has started going up, let's buy it. So it's best, and we are focusing on individual stocks, which I think is doing well.
Okay.
And the long or the bank Nifty remains?
The bank Nifty is a long idea, not the bank Nifty. It was PSU banks which are a long idea, and that remains. I don't think this is something is changing in this entire segment. You leave aside a few banks, most of them are going to do well.
All right. Yes, the PSU bank index has done remarkably well this month. It's up 5% this month, led by, of course, SBI, but even the others have done well. Amrish Palika is also with us. Amrish, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you think we are going to respect the old bottom of 75.40, or is there a reasonable chance that we'll break that?
No, I think we are even respecting 7750, 7800 band, because even if you see it breaks that for a while and then bounces back. I think this is the second or third time in the past few days. So I think breaking the 7750, 7800 may not really happen so soon, because I was in fact expecting it to break today and possibly move more towards that 7550, 7600 levels because of...
would that make it bullish from the medium term, considering it would be higher bottom compared to the last one?
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, this is what I've been saying, that whenever there is a crack in the market, that's an opportunity to buy, because the government will, would be on like a overdrive post this like the Bihar fiasco. So going ahead, we will see a lot of announcements coming. I think you'll see a lot of things happening at the ground level, because now the window is just the next 2 or 3 months. We need to see action from the government, and I think that is what they should deliver.
What is the tactical buy in that case? Government-related stocks, public sector banks, as Sudarshan has been chartically recommending.
Right. So, in fact, it is across. It is the PSU banks where I think the valuations are decent, and everyone knows about the NPAs, the issues the banks have. So, I think it is already, priced in to a very large extent. I'm looking at the capital goods space. Again, L&T and BHEL, the way they have fallen at the current levels, it makes a lot of sense. One should be looking at the auto pack, possibly stocks like Ashok Leyland. And in addition to that, I'm also looking at power stocks, because that is where there is going to be a lot of reforms, a lot of action. So stocks like NTPC, power ancillaries like KEC, these are the stocks which I've been recommending in the past also.
Okay, well, the culprit still remains Infosys for the market now at the low point of the day. Mayuresh, 1078 on Infosys now. It's 12% lower from its recent highs. Good enough for you to buy, or would you expect more correction now?
So clearly, Anuj, I think the weakness in top tier IT names, including Infosys, is expected to stay over the next 2 to 3 months, primarily based on the fact that Q3 there will be a lot of furloughs, and again I think the kind of headwinds that the management has indicated in terms of how revenue wins will come through and what kind of impact it will have on the EBITDA and the EBIT of these companies. I think it's a well-known, profound fact. Q3, Q4 are going to be weak, but again, if we extrapolate numbers for FY17, both in dollar and rupee terms, our own expectations are at 10.8 and 11% growth respectively. And again, I think the tailwinds are there for a stock like Infosys. There is every chance for utilization levels to go up by 250-300 pips, which will again indicate that with the client mining that they've done, the new order wins that they've received, I think they'll be in a far better position in FY17. So again, I think a staggered way of investing into the top tier names is something that we are suggesting. Valuations close to 17 odd times FY17 again looks very, very attractive. So yes, I think over the next 2 to 3 months, a staggered way of investing in Infosys as well as TCS in the top tier names is something that we are really suggesting our clients to do.
Okay, well actually the strength of the currency also should not be lost. The dollar now costs less than 66 rupees. It's 65 and change. So clearly gathering strength in the currency as well would be a minor negative for the IT stocks, among other things of course, not that it'll pull the needle by itself, but that's also not helping these export oriented stocks. Ambarish, I wanted to ask you about GMR. In the light of GMR, even JP has started dancing. But GMR itself, clearly the numbers were better than what most people in the street expected.
Right. They are better. Hopefully it should get better going ahead, especially since we are expecting the economy to bounce back, and in case they're able to do some sort of strategic sale, asset sale, I think that should be positive. So as far as GMR is concerned, I really don't see much of a downside from here. I think we've already seen that 10.5, 11 levels. I don't think we'll see those. I think it can move more towards that 16, 17 levels than to 11, 12. But at the same time, do I expect it to go to 30, 35? I don't think so.
Okay, let's put things in perspective. GMR was up 5% before we started talking to the management, and after we spoke to the management, the stock surged additional 8%, and that's because the focus clearly is on reducing the debt. And in that, the company made a valid point that they're looking to raise $400 to $600 million via some kind of stake sale in the airport business. So let's listen into that bit which actually led to this big surge in stock price.
We are looking at a sort of a fundraising at our GMR Airports Limited, and I can only say that GMR is pursuing a variety of options in terms of fundraising. We are looking at a significant money ranging from say around $400 to $600 million in the airport sector, but there is no fixed time limit. Because airport sector is a very attractive sector, the deal will be done on the terms which will be beneficial and attractive to the airport sector as well as GMR.
Okay, well that explains why GMR was surging, and that also perhaps explains why PSU banks are surging. A bunch of these, I mean, what was Rel Infra, GMR Infra, all these are stocks beleaguered by debt, and they're all able to find some sources, either it's an airport asset or it's a Bombay Suburban Electric Supply asset, which they can spin off to get some immediate relief from debt.
Add one more point here. I think with most of these companies, I don't think execution was ever an issue. I think it was more of a balance sheet issue, and especially when now we are looking at a huge infrastructure boom, you'll require people who can execute, and that's exactly what is like Reliance Infra or a GMR or companies like these.
A huge infrastructure boom is, I think, still being awaited. But Rel Infra itself, what's your view? We just got news from the company that they are going to spin off their Bombay assets, Mumbai assets, into a separate company and get a Canadian partnership there.
I think that's quite positive for this company, because clearly
Will you buy it?
May not be at the current levels, especially after the sort of a move which we have seen, but yes, I think levels are closer to about 375, 380. I would look at buying it.
Mayuresh, would you? Rel Infra?
No, not at this level. Again, Lata, I think clearly if you look at their other assets, and again I think if Varinder was mentioning the amounts that he was stating, clearly one really needs to understand what kind of valuations if the sale is expected to goes through. So I think a lot of ifs and buts related to how numbers will pan out for Reliance Infra in the short to medium term.
Okay, Amrish, we have discussed this in the past. Is this the really big sugar cycle which could lead to multi-baggers, or is this just a trading, pop which is going on and which at some point would get sold into?
I mean, it could be a longer term sort of a move, but then I think investment in the sugar space is possibly like a early stage investment which people normally do. You invest in those 5 to 10 companies, and out of that possibly 4 or 5 will go bust, and those two companies you make money. So that's the sort of investment which can be made in sugar at this point of time, because in case this down cycle lasts for another year or two, I really don't know as to how many of them will survive. But in case we see an upcycle now, we have seen some sort of a move in the like in the sugar prices. So in case this upcycle starts, and this is nearly after what, 6 to 8 years, I mean, you could surely have a couple of multi-baggers. But can I pinpoint those multi-baggers? No. So you'll have to throw a dart and just hope out of those 8 or 10 darts which you throw, 2 or 3 will be multi-baggers.
Well, you know, I began my journalistic life as a commodities reporter, and one of the features pointed out is that sugar moves in 3-year cycles.
3 or 4
so
years,
once the price starts rising, the prices rise for
Right,
3 years,
but
they
the
peak off.
The last cycle
did
is
not
abnormally long. You know,
it did not help the stocks.
Yes.
The prices rose, but it didn't help the stocks. They were still beleaguered with past year's debt and a huge amount of political interference. I mean, you know, you have an FRP, you have a state announced price, so you don't allow the market forces to operate. Nevertheless, the sugar commodity is a different, follows a different cycle, and there the cycle has clearly looks like it's bottomed out, and we have seen, you know, the global sugar prices begin to rise, and normally India would rise thereafter. But whether Indian companies will all benefit or whether some of them will benefit remains to be seen. At the moment, people seem to be playing that sugar cycle. Mayuresh, any views on sugar?
No, clearly, Lata, I think, as you mentioned it correctly, I think the FRP, the SAPs, I think, are playing truant on a lot of these sugar balance sheets. Again, I think the recovery rate is something that we need to watch out. I think the recovery rate is an abysmal 9.5–10%. And clearly, even if you look at the demand-supply situation in India, and even if you take the mandatory 4 million tons of export away, you're really expecting some amount of excess inventories to still stay, at least domestically, on a lot of the sugar companies' balance sheets. What has probably helped them is the rise in sugar prices and what has happened in Brazil. With the stockpiles and again I think the drought out there is clearly helping raw sugar prices in terms of cents on the international bosses. But whether that will translate into a cash flow cycle for these companies, I don't personally think so. Again, I think it's a 2–3 year cycle, as you rightly mentioned. The cycle should have started in this year, Lata, but again clearly because of rains and so on and so forth, I think the cycle would clearly get pushed to next year. So clearly a case of probably trading gains, at least at this point where the prices are in terms of stock markets. So clearly a wait and watch approach. Probably trading gains and trading momentum on these stocks might continue, but fundamentally I think I'll still wait.
Okay, 2.5 minutes left for markets to close. So let's just do a quick recap. You'll have to say it was a good day, even though the market gave up some gains in late trade, but still the market is ending more towards the higher point than the lower point, and above 7,800. That's always good sign for the bulls. In terms of stocks that led the market higher, it was banks to begin with. ICICI Bank was the top contributor. Apart from that, you had SBI, PNB, IndusInd Bank, Yes Bank. All of these banks rallied. Apart from that, support came from some heavyweights like ITC. That was up about 2.5%. Larsen and Toubro was up about 2%. So these stocks did well. There was some buying in some of the beaten down pharma names. Dr. Reddy's was the clear leader, 4% higher on Dr. Reddy's. Lupin gained in trade today as well, and Cipla was higher as well. Towards the end, there was quite a bit of surge in some of the commodity names, led by GAIL. That was quite interesting, actually came out of nowhere. That stock was up about 4.5%. Vedanta was up about 3.5%, so that's the commodity bit that did well. Hindalco as well could be added to the list. So these were some of the stocks that actually led the market higher. It's a bunch of various sectors. Maruti also made a bit of a comeback in late trade. What led the market lower, or what restricted the gains? Clearly the frontline IT names, led by Infosys. That stock was down about 1.5%. TCS was down about 1%, Tata Motors was down about 1%, and then you had a couple of other names like Coal India clearly reacting to the numbers. That stock was down 2%, Lever was down about 2% as well, and Power Grid was also lower in trade. So all in all, we have to say that from the index levels at least it was a good day, but in the mid caps it was a bit of a mixed story.
Exactly the opposite. From an index level it was not a great day, but there were a bunch of stocks that were doing well, which is why the advanced declines are still ending in favor of the advancing stocks. 7:6, not a great deal, but still a larger number of stocks are ending in the green compared to their Friday levels than are ending lower. And again, it was a wide variety of stocks. Sugar, of course, we spoke about at length. The other one were the logistics stocks, starting with Snowman and going on with Gati and the rest. The logistics stocks had a field day, with our correspondent Sapna breaking the news that the economic advisor is about to announce the NRN rate, the revenue neutral rate for the GST as well. Very important overtures from the finance minister to the Congress bigwigs, indicating that they would reach out for a constructive solution on GST. That was a big theme that was played. Infra was a theme that was played. We discussed that at length as well. So GMR Infra, JP, in the shadows of GMR, started doing well, as did REL Infra, another stock where the news struck in the last hours of trade. So a bunch of sectors doing very well. But let me just get one word in on logistics. One day wonder, you think, Ambarish?
I mean, whenever there's a talk of GST...
but this time around, we are around the corner of a parliamentary session.
No, that's true, but...
And therefore, will it last a bit longer? Or would you buy these only after you see that amendment bill passed?
I think it's only after the bill is passed that you should really look at, or at least, I mean, you should be decently sure that it is going to be passed, because now looking at the way the political scenario is, I doubt whether it can happen this time.
Mayuresh, logistics?
Clearly, Lata, I think Transport Corporation and VRL Logistics is something that we liked, but clearly they have exceeded our target prices at least a few weeks back. So clearly, as Amrish was mentioning, I think it's more a play on how in what form probably gets cleared through, and the reaction that you're probably seeing is with expectations of GST getting cleared. So again, I think one really needs to wait and watch. One really needs to assume that the GST is becoming a reality, and if that happens, I think I don't even mind getting into these stocks, even if there is a minor rally after that, looking at valuations.
Okay, Sudarshan, what about ITC? It's an important stock for the market, but it's been very volatile.
It's been volatile, but and I've been slightly downbeat earlier. But now all this downbeat is affecting the stock by saying that the lows are holding. And if the lows are holding and ITC has done nothing, it's been a poor performer. The sense is that it may actually perform with the Nifty. If even that happens, which is what the chart suggests, ITC could easily see a rally which is quite significant. So ITC for a positional trader is a buying opportunity.
I did ask you chartically, GMR Infra, was that a one-day wonder again? And if somebody has got long positions, what should they do tomorrow morning?
I think you should get out, exit, take the profits. It may not be a one-day wonder, I don't know that, but I wouldn't buy it. We have to look at a much larger perspective, look at where it was, what it is doing, and it's not an opportunity for any retail trader to go into. Institutions can do that, but retailers should not dabble in it.
What about sugar? Would you dabble in any of them? I wanted to ask you, we just ran out of time.
Actually, yes. Now the problem is that a lot of fundamental analysis on sugar remains slightly bearish, but the chart suggests that they are breaking out of large consolidations and there's more upside. Perhaps a minor correction in sugar would be a buying opportunity. We have forgotten about sugar, so even the companies, the names have gone out of favor, but Balrampur Chini, EID Perry, both are giving opportunities. I just wait for minor corrections perhaps.
Okay, Amrish, a word on Coal India and how would you approach this stock?
Coal India results were okay, but then slightly below expectations, because of which we have seen that correction. But then if it falls to levels of, say, about 315, 320, it becomes a good long-term bet. And this is what I've been saying for a while.
Okay, but Coal India at 320. What about Oil India, Amrish?
Oil India, I mean, I really don't track it very closely, so I won't really like to.
Okay. Mayuresh, a word on both Oil India and ONGC, both half from the recent highs?
So clearly, Anuj, I think with the kind of realizations that we are used to now, and with the expectations of Brent staying within the range, and again, largely a lot of analysts are expecting $40 to probably be the bottom of Brent. But again, if it breaks through that, clearly I think that is going to have repercussions in how earnings will pan out in terms of top line growth. Secondly, I think if you look at the return ratios for Oil India and the kind of capex that they've earmarked, at least for FY16, the whole question and thesis about the dividend deal theory probably goes for a toss. Similarly for ONGC, I think OVL, that is their overseas arm, I think you're going to see some amount of pain happening on that front. And again, I think what probably happens going forward is again a big question mark on where pricing would be. So clearly, I think these stocks would largely underperform the broader markets over the next 2 to 3 quarters.
Okay, well, Sudarshan, I just wanted to point out that not everyone is bearish fundamentally as well on sugar, the commodity, so that may be helping. But to come back to stocks, a couple of stocks I wanted to ask you, Motherson Sumi and TVS Motors.
Motherson Sumi seems to be suggesting that the worst is over for the stock. and there is an opportunity. I think today it did nothing, and that's good news, because tomorrow it could actually be a buying opportunity, and that of course depends on how markets open. But for a short-term trader, Motherson Sumi is a buy now, and TVS Motors has been a consistent outperformer. So assuming that the Nifty is finding a base at 7758, 7800, both these stocks should be only looked for buying.
Okay, Amrish, before we let you go, just a word on Indigo. Is it done now for the time being?
I think it's too expensive, but there's a lot of hype, and there's a lot of momentum. So
and the float issue is also.
And there is very little stock.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that is what could possibly push it up further. But personally speaking, I mean, I will not buy this beyond 500 levels, and I don't know whether it will reach those levels in a hurry, but surely not at these levels.
Okay, that's a long wait, isn't it?
You know, those who have seen the jet story, and a lot of people would have said 50% correction. It corrected 80 or 90%.
Absolutely.
So
No, because I mean, here the main component is oil, on which they don't have any control at all, and that forms nearly 40% of your costs. I mean, although it's come down to 30%
to be
now.
fair, they were profitable with oil even at $100.
They were profitable,
as well. We are getting only more and more bearish calls on crude.
But
today, Chris Wood was crying out that he doesn't see.
No, that's true. When the whole world becomes negative on crude, possibly it's the bottom for all you know. At the same time, whatever profits they have made in the past so many years, I mean, a lot of that has come from sale of aircrafts than, I mean, really from the operations. Operations, yes, I mean, like surely they are the most profitable. I mean, we need to give that to them, but for that they should be quoting at some premium to the others, not a premium like this.
Okay. Well, fair. Okay. Well. Markets giving a stock that is not easily available, very little floating stock. We'll have to end this discussion on that note. Sudarshan, Ambarish, Mayuresh, thank you very much for joining us and taking us through the closing hours of this very interesting day of trade. We have to take a break, but coming up, it's raining elsewhere.